The car died with a cough and a shudder on the shoulder of the old coastal road, and in that moment the rain eased just enough for the man pushing a stroller beside a dented pickup to hear it. He almost kept walking. Rent was due, his daughter's fever had only broken that morning, and the day had already asked too much, but something in the way the hazard lights blinked, patient and lonely, made him stop. He told himself it would be quick. 5 minutes, maybe. He didn't know that the hood he was about to lift would open a door he had spent years nailing shut, or that the woman sitting behind the wheel would look up and turn his ordinary afternoon into a reckoning he could not escape. He set the stroller brake and tugged his jacket tighter, the smell of wet asphalt sharp in the air. The pickup's bed held tools that had learned his hands better than any person had since his wife died, wrenches smoothed by work, rags that remembered oil and sweat. He knocked on the dark window and waited. When it rolled down, the woman inside blinked at him like she had surfaced from deep water. She wore a tailored coat that did not belong on this road, and yet the worry on her face was the same worry he'd seen on anyone stranded, rich or poor. "I can take a look," he said, already reaching for the latch. "No charge if it's simple." "Thank you," she said, voice steady but eyes searching the rain. "I'm late." He smiled without humor. "Everyone is." The hood rose with a metallic sigh. Steam feathered out and vanished. He leaned in, listening the way a doctor listens to a heart. When he straightened, he felt the stare on his neck. He turned, and the years collapsed. She said his name like she was testing whether it still existed. "Evan." The rain thickened again, drumming on the hood and the stroller canopy. He saw the same mouth that used to laugh at his jokes, the same freckle near her ear he used to kiss when he thought no one was watching. The lines at the corners of her eyes were new, earned. "Lena," he said, and his voice surprised him by not breaking. For a breath they simply looked at each other, two people holding a bridge made of memory, unsure if it would bear weight. He remembered the cheap apartment with the broken heater, the nights they planned a future with the reckless faith of youth. He remembered the letter he never mailed, the phone calls that ended too soon when his father got sick and she took the job across the ocean. He remembered deciding not to chase her because someone had to stay, and someone had to be brave. "I didn't think," she began, then stopped. "I mean, I never thought we'd meet like this." He gestured at the engine. "Life has a sense of humor." She nodded, swallowed. "You have a child." "My daughter," he said, pride and ache braided together. "Maya." As if on cue, a small hand pressed against the stroller window. Lena's face softened in a way he had not seen before, a gentleness sharpened by command. "She's beautiful. Like her mother," he said, and the words settled between them, heavy and true. He explained the problem. A cracked hose, an easy fix if he had the right part. He did, because he always did. He worked while she stood nearby, offering help he declined, watching him with the careful attention of someone used to boardrooms and battles but disarmed by grease and rain. She told him she was in town for a meeting, that she ran a company now, that the road was a shortcut her driver usually avoided. He didn't ask for details. Titles had a way of shrinking people if you let them. When he finished, the engine purred. Relief crossed her face, followed by something else. "Please," she said, reaching for her wallet. He closed the hood. "It's fine." "It's not," she said, gently stubborn. "Let me at least buy you dinner." "For catching me before the rain won." He looked at the stroller, at Maya's sleeping face. He thought of the stack of bills on the counter. He thought of the letter still in a drawer. "Dinner's hard," he said. "But coffee's possible." They sat in a cafe that smelled like cinnamon and old books, steam fogging the windows. The rain wrote stories on the glass. They spoke in pieces at first, careful not to step on landmines. She asked about his work. He told her about the garage he rented space in, the neighbors who trusted him because he fixed what he promised. He asked about her life. She told him about airports and deadlines, about the weight of decisions that moved markets but sometimes missed people. She did not talk about the man rumored to stand beside her in photographs. He did not ask. When they stood to leave, The day had tipped toward evening. She hesitated, then pressed a card into his hand. "If you ever need anything," she said. "Anything." He folded it without looking. "Take care on the road," he said, and meant more than that. That night, after Maya slept, he unfolded the card and stared at the name that now carried a title he could not pronounce without tripping. He thought of the engine purring, of rain easing, of the way some doors wait years to open. He put the card in the drawer with the letter, unsure whether that meant keeping it safe or keeping it buried. The next morning began with a knock that did not sound like trouble but like opportunity clearing its throat. He opened the door to find Lena standing on the porch without her coat, hair pulled back, eyes bright and nervous. "I hope this isn't strange," she said, and the fact that she could still sound unsure did something to him. "I couldn't stop thinking about yesterday. About how small choices change lives." He leaned against the frame. "Mine are usually about cereal." She smiled. "I'd like to make one, if you'll let me. My company needs a mechanic for a fleet we're expanding here. Someone local. Someone who fixes things right. I remembered how you work." He felt the old reflex rise, distrust of gifts wrapped in history. "I don't want charity." "I know," she said. "That's why I'm offering work." They talked it through at the kitchen table while Maya colored between them. Terms were clear, fair. The numbers made his chest tighten. "This would change things," he said. "It would," Lena said. "And it would be earned." Weeks passed like pages turning. Evan's days filled with engines and schedules, his nights with Maya's laughter. The contract steadied his life without owning it. Lena visited the garage sometimes, sleeves rolled, asking questions that showed she listened. They learned how to stand in the present without rushing the past. When they spoke of what had been, it was with honesty instead of accusation. He told her about staying, about the night he chose responsibility over romance. She told him about leaving, about the fear of becoming small if she didn't run toward something big. The challenge came quietly, as they often do. A competitor filed a complaint, tried to undercut the contract, whispered that it was favoritism dressed as philanthropy. The board asked questions. Lena faced them without flinching, laying out processes, inviting audits, insisting on transparency that made enemies blink. Evan testified not with speeches but with records and results. The truth did what it usually does when given room, it stood. On the day the board upheld the decision, Lena found Evan at the beach with Maya, building a fortress that kept collapsing.